I feel like I sound like a proper gentleman this morning of all the days. Of all the days. I don't know. I don't know. Hi, guys. Good morning. I sound a little froggy, let's say, a little like a proper gentleman this morning. But of all the days I want to record something, I'm sick. I've been sick for about a week, but the show must go on. I'm trying to be more consistent with my vlogging. Today, I'm going to answer a couple of questions and just give an update on where I am in life, what's been going on. Things people always ask me: where is Almost August? Why did I leave town? Am I opening a new storefront? And when can they order products online? So let's get into this morning's episode, or should I say today's chapter. If you're new here, I'm a new vlogger, and this is really just my chance to vlog my life, make a little video diary for my kids for when I'm long gone. And I just moved to Waco, so this is pretty much my community. I have one friend here, and I'm sure she doesn't want to hear me chat all the time about the same things. So y'all are about to be my best friends. This might get a little long because I have a lot that I want to cover. I kind of have to give you like the backstory so you can understand where I am now. So grab some wine. I mean, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Grab some tea, grab some coffee, and let's just chat about it. Let's start at the beginning. In my very first vlog, I detailed our selling and buying process with the homes and how we ended up in Waco. But something people always ask me is what happened to Almost August? I'm gonna get a little detailed and tell you what happened to Almost August and where we are today. So how do we get to Waco? Years ago, my husband and I had a dream of flipping a home in Waco. This is on the rise of fixer-upper. Homes were very affordable in Waco at that time. And we were recently married, so we kind of tabled it as something we would like to do, have an investment property here. Plus, the university is here, so we're like, we'll always have tenants. If you don't know, we're blended. I have 2 children from a previous relationship, and my husband has 1. We were trying to navigate being newlyweds, having 2 sets of kids, 2 different schools, 2 different homes, and we just couldn't really focus on an investment property, but we wanted to. We knew it was something we wanted to do. So back at that time, we're living in Humble. My kids and I moved into my husband's home because he had more space than we did. I had an apartment at the time, so it just made sense. Once the kids grew up and we were like fully living in the house, we realized we need a little more space than this. We bought some property in Cleveland, Texas. Our home was actually like right between Highway 45 North and 59 North. I think it's called 69 now. I don't know. But we were right between there, and we bought some land. We built on the land, and we kind of had a farm. We had animals. I wanted my kids to just have all the experiences they could that we could offer them. And so we never ever thought we would move from that house. We thought it was our dream home. It was custom built. We were going to just be in there forever. Our grandkids were going to be there. We had enough space that we could put another house on the lot anytime we wanted to. So we were like, this is it. This is it. This is where we're going to be. And then God had some other plans for us. At that time, I had a great job. I worked downtown Houston at a consulting firm, and we were living a pretty comfortable life until God started to lead me in a different direction. And I'll tell you what, when God has a plan for you and you're being disobedient, he makes you so uncomfortable. So I eventually left that job. I won't get into details on all the specifics, but it was the biggest leap of faith I'd ever taken. I'm leaving a secure job, great benefits, great medical health benefits, and great perks. But I think at that time, somewhere inside of me, I knew that was like a pivotal moment for God and I in our relationship. And it was like one of the biggest leaps of faith I've ever taken, because who just leaves a job? My parents thought I was manic, and my husband was very supportive, and he was like, look, if God is talking to you, you have to be obedient and we'll be okay. So I did. I quit my job and I had started almost August, probably 2 years before that point. I remember one day our building had a vendor market and my boss was like, you need to go down there and be in the vendor market. And I'm an introvert. So just the thought of speaking to people and sharing what my products were, and at the time I think I just had soaps, that was very scary for me. I didn't want to do that. But one thing I do credit her for is she always pushed me out of my comfort zone. She always encouraged me. She was always like, anything that I was fearful of, she'd be like, you can do this. And I think at that time I needed that. I needed that push to grow. And she surely pushed me to grow. So she was like, you are going to sign up for this market and you're going to sell. And it was stellar. I think I sold almost close to $1,000 that day in soaps. And I was like, wow, maybe one day I can quit my job and do this full time. Okay, now fast forward some years, I quit my job and now I'm doing my business full time. I've scaled up. Mind you, I have no business background. I've always supported executives in my career. I've been a career executive assistant, but I never had the forefront role. But I believe I learned a lot from them because if you know, assistants really do a lot for their partners. So we're exposed to a lot. We're just not in the forefront. We're in the background. Now I'm in the space. It's me, God, and my very small, limited amount of business knowledge. And I started off doing vendor markets and I signed up for everything. If you invited me, I was coming. Every small business event I could. I wanted to be there. I wanted people to know my name because then once they knew my name and they knew my product in person, that would lead them to the website. And I kind of understood that cycle and I wanted to do that. So everything I could sign up for, I did. I even sold stuff at neighborhood yard sales. I would set up like in my sister's neighborhood or in a friend's neighborhood, and people would buy my products in the yard sale because again, I wanted the exposure. And everything seemed to be going really well. I was growing, my sales were coming in, my website had traction. And then out of the blue, my father-in-law passes away. And that kind of, I mean, to this day has changed life for me. It devastated me, my family, my mother-in-law, my husband. And then I just kind of fell into this space of, I don't know. I just fall into the space of question mark, right? I'm navigating that, and one day a girlfriend says to me, you know, there's a space for rent downtown Conroe. Let's just say my home in downtown Conroe with no traffic was about a 20-minute drive. So I was like, okay, I wasn't really looking for a storefront because again, I'm grieving. I feel like I was just like in this fog, right? And I'm not looking for a storefront, but she encouraged me and I went and I spoke to the owner of the building. And at first she was like, well, I can't show you the space because someone has their stuff there. The last tenant had a couple things there. And somewhere in the middle of that convo, she was like, let me get the key and show you. And I was like, well, that's pretty strange, but okay. I walk into the space and it's small enough that I can manage, right? Remember, I've never had a storefront. I'm new to having a business, so I don't want to be overwhelmed. And in my mind, I didn't know if I could take it on. So I was like, okay, let me talk to my husband and let me see what he says. And so we pray about it and we open a storefront. We open almost August, downtown Conroe. Our opening date was August 27th, which was my mother's birthday. And we moved from there. And it's been one of the greatest experiences I've had in my life to this day, to be quite honest. I learned a lot. Janice Parrish, she owned the building I leased in. She shared everything with me to help me grow my business mindset. She taught me things about Conroe, and then there were other business people I interacted with who gave me little nuggets along the way. In our first year, we did really well, and by the start of the second year, I had tripled my earnings. And then outside of having handmade products in my store, I started doing candle making classes where I would go to the person's home to host a candle making event for their group, their neighbors, their friends. Or I would go to an event space and I would teach candle making there for maybe a bridal party or a baby shower or any celebration type gathering. So that was going really well. And I started doing something called Wick and Wine, and I partnered with BE Winery, which is a local business downtown Conroe. And we did candle making and wine tasting. By this time, we're having great exposure. We're in magazines, we're being interviewed for local newspapers. Our online presence is growing because of interviews that I'm having, and everything is going so well on the business front. On the home front, life is changing pretty fast. Time is going by. I've quit my job, I've opened a store, I'm growing a business, I'm a proper businesswoman at this time. And my kids are growing. My kids are growing up and out of the home. We're having graduations. Kids are moving from high school to university to, just growing in life. And I feel like I didn't even blink. Someone once said that the days are long, but the years are short. And they knew what they were talking about, because honestly, that's what it seemed like. I just blinked my eyes and I had adults. And it's not like I didn't expect children to grow. I mean, I expected. I don't think there's a parent who doesn't expect their kids to grow. But I don't know, I wasn't prepared, and it just happened all so fast. And I was just like, wow, we're empty nesting. We're at that stage where the house is starting to feel too big for two people. And in one summer, we went from 3 kids in the home to 1. So it's my husband and I and 1 kid in our home. In the home we built really for the kids. So everybody had their space and everybody was comfortable. And so now this dream home is starting to feel very big. And we're like, okay, maybe we should downsize. We have 1 more kid in the home. Maybe we should think about downsizing at some point in time. It's just we've gotten to the point where maybe it's something we need to start to consider. One day I'm at the store. It's summer 2023. And I have this vision. And it might sound odd to some people, but in my relationship with God, He gives me things. I call them downloads, because I feel like I have a pen and paper. And He just starts to speak to me. And I just kind of write down what He's showing me, what I feel He's showing me. And in the vision, it's a building. And I can't remember if I knew the building was in Waco or if it was just a vision of the building. But for time's sake, let's just say it's a vision of a building in Waco. I've never seen an area I've never been in. So I make the notes, and all the other details that He gave me in this vision, I just start to do research on, and I just try to not jump ahead of Him, because that's not possible, but just kind of prepare myself knowledge-wise for whatever He's trying to show me. I go home and I tell my husband about this vision, and he's like, well, that's fine and dandy, but it's just not in the budget right now. And I was like, yeah, I understand that, no problem. So I keep what I've written, and I make notes on it. And every time I do some research or I have an idea, I add it to my paper in my notes. But I just continue life, right? Life continues. And we have a block party to celebrate our 2nd year at Almost August, the storefront. And right after that, in prayer on a Sunday, sitting on my patio, God tells me to put the house on the market. And I was like, are you sure? Now? Because I still have a kid in high school. I just celebrated my 2nd year at the storefront. So it seems odd, but I feel like God always not tests me, but tries to get me to lean on Him when I start leaning on myself or other worldly things. It's like hey, don't forget me, right? So God says, put the house on the market. I talked to my husband. We put the house on the market, and I have all those details in my first video, so you can go watch that. I'm not going to bore you here with that again. Does this seem crazy? Yes. Have I trusted God before? Yes. Has He failed me? No. So I'm like, okay, this is good. And everything just starts to move really quickly. I find someone, actually, she walked into my store once And she said to me, "Oh, my dream is to have a storefront on Main Street." So I reach out to her and I'm like, "Hey, I'm trying to get someone to take over my lease because I'm moving out of town. I don't know when all this is going to take place, but would you be interested?" And she's like, "Yes." She speaks to her partner. I cross check with my landlord. Things are good to go. Things are moving. We get the house on the market. Everything is moving so fast, like going so smoothly, and then nothing. I'm like, "Lord, where are you? You sent me on this journey. I know it's you." And so I start to doubt, like, is it God who sent me on this journey? Like, I'm sure it's him, but sometimes, doubt creeps in and you start to second guess yourself. And all the signs are there. It was God who spoke to me. But I'm like, like, where are you? Because we were moving fast and now I'm just sitting still and I'm getting nervous. In this waiting period, we are in Waco and we're looking for a home. We're trying to find something that suits us. And now that I know your kids don't live with you forever, I'm trying to keep that in mind with this house that I'm looking for. And in driving, what do I find? The building in my vision in Waco, in an area I've never been in before. Now, remember I told you that I wanted an investment property in Waco? Sometimes I feel like God gives us nuggets in life and then we go back and think and we're like, is this a coincidence? And I don't think it's a coincidence because I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything is God formed, God built. But I was like, this is weird. This is a little different. This hasn't happened to me before. So we start looking in Waco. Our house sells. We get in the rental and silence. So because I'd experienced the silence with God before, I tried to be really prayerful. And then I realized how selfish I was being because I'm not God's only child, right? And because we're all connected, our blessings are connected as well. So sometimes I think, at least in my mind, it's like a domino effect. Like someone's blessing has to take place so that mine can take place. And then mine has to take place so someone else's can. And so I feel like that's what was going on with my life at the time because God's timing is perfect. I truly believe that and I know that and I've experienced that. It's now May 2024 and I experienced one of the most traumatic, tragic things I've ever experienced in my life. And I'm going to be vulnerable because one, if it helps someone with their faith in God, why not? And two, I'm not the only parent who's going to go through empty nesting, right? So if I can kind of give a preview of what that could look like, hopefully it'll help someone. This is when I realized I'm not okay. The trauma experience triggered every other trauma in my life, from childhood, being a single mom, things with my family. That one moment triggered everything else. And then I was also struggling with emptiness. I realized I didn't know who I was anymore. I had been a mom since I was 20. Last summer, I was 42. So 22 years of that. My wife role began at 30. So I really couldn't remember what it was like to just be me as an adult. I'd been a wife and mom for so long that I couldn't remember what it was like to be myself. I describe it as going to a restaurant and being able to order for my husband and each kid individually. And when the waiter gets to me, I'm like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I like. That's kind of how I felt because I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I didn't have the store. I wasn't working. I was home doing some mom things and some wife things, but not in the way I was used to. So it was very confusing for me. I was okay with admitting that I was not okay because my husband and my kids and my girlfriends were so supportive and so understanding. I'm not a medical or mental professional, but I will tell you that therapy saved me. Therapy saved me and taught me how to navigate so many things that I didn't even know I needed to navigate. I was depressed for some time. I was smiling on the outside and screaming on the inside. I didn't want to leave the house. And then if I did leave the house, I had to be with someone. And then if I went out and there were too many people, like say I go to HEB and I walk into the store and I just see everybody, I would just exit out and drive home. Like it was so difficult for me to just function, just everyday function. It was a real struggle. It was a really dark place. I'm navigating this, and then my son goes off to university, and then everything feels empty. And so during this time, I'm getting emails and calls and texts and smoke signals and messenger pigeons. Like people are like, hey, when can I order again? And I'm trying to stay positive, and I keep telling myself in a month I'll be fine. So I keep saying, oh, next month we'll have everything back online. We don't have a storefront yet, but we'll have everything back online in a month, right? I'm trying to like push myself, and I can't, because if you're creative, if you're not good mentally or physically, or emotionally, you can't create. You're stuck. And then I feel like I'm in this limbo because I love creating. It's my happy space, and I want to, and I can't. And I keep trying to force something out of myself that just isn't there. And so even like last Friday, someone called me and was like, hey, I know you're almost August. I'm having this event. I would love for you to be there. And when I share with her that I moved to Waco, she was so encouraging. She's like, oh, Waco needs you. This would be great in Waco. Your products are amazing and all that stuff. I don't even understand how people still are interested in almost August after I ghosted you guys. And I'm so grateful that you still care. I'm so grateful for people who even just say like, hey, are you okay? Because I've not seen anything almost August in a long time. I'm so grateful for you guys because you keep pushing me. Because at one time I was like, okay, maybe I need to do something else with my life. Let me check out these things. But every time I try to do something else with my life, almost August comes up, and I'm like, okay, maybe I just need to focus on almost August. And so all that to bring us here today. What have I been up to? I've been DIY renovating our home. Our home is 100 years old. I don't know, you can see some decor and stuff behind me. I'm really into art. So this home gets to be like my gallery. And because the kids are older, I'm not so tied to making it a kid-friendly home. And I've really been enjoying that. I started doing some volunteering with some nonprofits. One is Esther's Closet locally in Waco, where they provide tools and resources for women going into the workplace. And so I think because of my corporate background and my business knowledge, I'm able to bring, some skill and some knowledge into that space, which I'm happy to do. I always feel like God doesn't give us skills for ourselves, it's to help others. So I'm happy He's given me the opportunity to do that. And I feel like I'm finally in this space where I'm happy again. I've gotten to a good mental space. So I'm kind of itching to create. And so I'm not going to put a timestamp on it because I feel like it's almost like I'm lying, right? I keep saying one thing and I don't deliver. So I'm not going to put a timestamp on it, but I am going to say I am getting to a creative space. And I think I'm just going to start off small, maybe with one product online, and once that's good and organized, I'll add to it instead of going like full throttle and trying to just do everything at once. I think that'll kind of overwhelm me, so I'm not going to take that approach. I need to be more present on social media because there are little things that I do. I do a monthly event for a property management company in Houston. I enjoy that. And it's literally by God's grace that I'm still here having this conversation with you because I really went through a difficult time. And thank God for my kids and my husband and my support system. I'm here, I'm having this conversation with you. And if you are not a believer of God, I can only tell you what He's done for me. I can't tell you anything else. And I'm sitting here alive talking to you. And I think that alone is a testament to His mercy and His grace. And He loves me like crazy. I know that. Sometimes I feel like I'm His only child, but I'm not. So that just means He loves you like crazy too. He will open and close doors for you. And like a true good parent, He just wants you to be happy, and He just wants you to be healthy and whole in Him. So that's the end of my little ramble. Remember that you guys are my friends. I only have one friend in Waco. So like this video, subscribe to my channel, leave me some comments or questions below if you'd like. If there's anything I've said that you have questions on or any encouragement you want to share me, I would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you follow me on social media. I will put those links below so that you know when the website's up and running again, and you can kind of keep up with that if you'd like to. In addition to working on myself, I'm working on consistency with this channel because I think that's super important with the algorithm and other things I'm learning to understand. But I hope to see you guys next time, and thanks for keeping up with my midlife chapters.